Hello guys, welcome back. So in today's lecture, we are going to understand about the linear search. Okay, this is one of the easiest algorithm which we can implement, and in JavaScript also we have some built-in methods which are used for the linear search, right? Which are internally using the linear search. So first go with the definition. Okay, so a linear search is also known as sequential search that simply scans each element at a time. Okay, so what does this mean? See, linear search, you have to keep in mind, it is also known as sequential search. In case if someone asks you what is sequential search, then that's he simply means like he's asking about the linear search algorithm, right? So you don't have to get confused at that point of time, right? Yeah, so it basically checks all the elements one by one. You can think of a simple for loop, right? Or you can think of a simple loop where you pass a data. Let's say you pass an array, right? There you want to search for a number. It will check each and every element one by one in a sequential manner, and wherever it finds that element, it will return that element, that algorithm, or based on like if it matches, whether you can return true, false, you can return the index. Okay, so let's first see some of the methods, or let's visualize it before diving into the actual coding part, right? So let's see how it works internally. Okay, so here I have a diagram here. Let's consider this whole thing as an array, right? So we have an array of unsorted data, because if you use sorted array, right, so there are potentially better solutions which we can make use to find, or we can search for a number in the sorted array, right? So in case if you have an unsorted array, okay, so there what we have to do, we have to like find the elements, we have to check all the elements one by one. Okay, there this algorithms comes into picture, like linear search, right? So let's say you got an unsorted array where you have to find one. Okay, you created a function, or let's say it's a requirement of the question, right? Where you have to find, you have to create a function where you have to pass an unsorted array, and you have to pass a number which you have to find in that particular array. Okay, so let's consider we have to find one here in this unsorted array. How you will do it? You will simply run a loop where you will check the first element. If it is one, no, then you will move to the next element. If it is one, no, then you will move to the next element. If it is one, no, then you move to the next element. If it is 1, yes it is. So now based on the question, in case if they want you to return the index of that particular number, then you can return the index. In case if the question wants you to return true or false, then you can return true or false. Okay, so based on your question's demand, you can return the value whatever you want. Okay, or you can simply return like number found or number didn't found. Okay, something like this. So this is how linear search works. You simply search the number, or simply search the element in the array one by one in a sequential manner. Okay, so we cannot search randomly like from anywhere, wherever you start. If you are starting it from the end, right, so from end also you will check all the elements one by one only. Okay, in a sequential way, you will check first element, you will check second element, you will check third element. So this way you will keep on checking the element until you find that element, right? So this is how like the linear search works. Okay, so now let's go back to our example. Okay, now let's go back to the code. So here let's create an array, right? So let's first okay, so let's create an array. I'll create an array of like few unsorted numbers only. So let's copy these ones. Okay, -1, -4, 3, -1, -4, 3, and then 1, 0, 12, right? 1, 0, 12. Okay, so this is an unsorted array. So let's see how we can make use of it. Let's try to use these functions first. Okay, I think these functions you guys are aware already, but let me show you a few of them. Okay, so let me zoom in. It's not zoomed enough, right? So here let's use includes, right? Because these functions internally use the linear search algorithm only. Okay, they check the all the elements one by one. Okay, so there is no magic in it now anymore. Dot. Okay, so let's see what includes does. See, in includes we are passing nothing, so it's returning false, right? So let's pass 3 in it. Okay, so if it finds any number, it returns us true or false. It returns us boolean value, right? True or false, that the number is there or number is not there. Okay, so now let's use some other method, index of. Okay, let's use this. See what index of is doing. Index of is simply finding the index of that particular number. Okay, if it is there, right? So let me quickly stretch it a little bit so you guys can see clearly. Okay, so it is finding the index of that number, and if it finds, it is giving us the index. Otherwise, if it doesn't find any index, then it will give us -1. Okay, so this one is basically simply returning true or false. This one is returning the index of that number. Same way you can test find and find index, right? So this is how it works. Okay, so now let's talk about the time complexity of it. Since we are searching the element in the array, so it can grow as the size of the input grows, right? As bigger we get the array, the complexity will go bigger, right? So the complexity here is directly proportionate to the size of the array which we are passing. So in simple words, the complexity will be O of n, which is directly proportionate to the size of the array, or n, right? So let's quickly create a linear search. Okay, so in this one, what I'll do, I'll simply I'll return true or false, right? So just like includes, we are going to create our local includes method, let's say. Okay, is number available? Okay, so in this function, what I will do, I'll simply pass an array and I will pass a number. Okay, and if there is no number, then I'll simply return false. Okay, so let's do that quickly. If there is no number, okay, and I'll simply return false. Okay, so I'm just trying to replicate this includes method here. Okay, so what it was doing, if there was no number, it was returning as false, right? Includes, okay, it was returning as false. And in case if we are passing any number here, and if it is there in the array, right, it is returning as true. Let's pass 123, which is obviously not there, then it will return false only. Okay, so this is the first condition which we have to handle basically. Okay, now we can simply run a for loop. See, this is the easiest algorithm. Okay, so let's run a simple for loop. Let's use num this time. Okay, num or element of array. Okay, so what we can do, we can simply check if L equals to num. Okay, return true. Okay, otherwise return false. See, it's simple as that. Now if I check it, then it will work the exact same way the includes method was working, right? See, I have used for off loop. If you want, you can use like this loop as well. Let me show you. Let I equals to 0, I is smaller than arr dot length, and then I plus plus. Because here I didn't find any use case of using the index of that particular number, so that's why I prefer to use this for off loop, right? In case if you want to use it, then you can go ahead and use it. Okay, you can try to implement the index of method by your own. Okay, so in that, what you can do, instead of returning true or false, you can simply return the index. Okay, so if array at position I matches the number, right, then you have to return the index. Okay, otherwise what you have to do, return -1 here, and if there is is number available, right? If there is no number, then simply return -1. Okay, so we will try these two. Okay, So for now, I'll simply comment it, right? First, I'll run this code and then I'll run this code. Or let me separate it in the separate function. Custom index finder, right? So here also we have to pass the same thing. Okay, this way you can try to experiment with your own crazy like ideas. You try to implement your own searching algorithms. Okay, so I'll simply move this piece of code here. Okay, so here what we are doing, we are simply searching if there is no number. Okay, if there is no number, then we are returning -1, and if there is the array, right? Oh, sorry, if there is no number, or if there is no array dot length, okay, or this one is also fine. If there is no array dot length, then we are returning -1. Okay, right. Or we can also use if there is no number as well, because sometimes what happens, like sometimes the user do like decided not to pass the number, right? So in that case also we can handle it. So let's remove this from here, this as well, and okay. So right now we have created two linear searching algorithms, right? The first one is returning Boolean value. Okay, this one is returning the Boolean value. So what it is doing, it is accepting an array, it is accepting a number. Okay, and if the number is present in the array, then we are returning true, otherwise we are returning false. Okay, now in this one what we are doing, so in this one we are checking if there is no length, then we are simply returning -1, or if there is no num, okay, then also we are simply returning -1, right? Otherwise what we are doing, we are simply checking for the number in the array. If we find the number, we are returning the index of it, otherwise we are simply returning -1. Okay, so here you have to keep in mind one thing, right? So here we have 0 as well, right? And if there is no number, so let's give it a try and then let's see what happens. Okay, so let me quickly save it. Let's go with this one first. Okay, so unsorted array, right? So we have to pass this unsorted array in this function. Okay, and now see, when I have not passed any number, it is returning false, right? Now let's try to pass a number, let's say 3. Okay, so as soon as I pass 3, it is giving me true, right? So it is working the exact same way the includes method works, right? Now let's try to pass 0, let's see what happens. See, here the problem comes. 0 is a number which we are trying to find in the array, right? And that is what I actually thought of. So here you simply have to remove this particular condition, okay, in both the places. Because sometimes what happens, sometimes you can get 0 as well. And since in JavaScript 0 is a falsy value, then it will create the issues like this, right? We are trying to find that number in the array. The number is also there in the array, but since it is a falsy value, it is giving us false. Okay, it is going into this block. Okay, now so here we will simply check if there is no length, simply return false. If the element you found, then return true, otherwise return false. Okay, so let's give it another try. See, now it is working with the 0 as well, right? Let's try another number. Let's try 1 2 3. The number is not there, then it will give us false, right? Now let's try another number which is already there, -4. Okay, so it is giving us true. So that means our first linear searching algorithm is working fine. Here we have to return true or false, right? Now let's check the other one, custom index finder. Okay, so in this function what we have to do, it is basically a replica of index of, right? So what it will do, if the number which we are passing, if it is available in the array, then it will simply return the index of that number. Otherwise what it will do, it will simply return -1. That means, so -1 basically means the number is not there in the array. Okay, so let's use custom index finder, As you can see, as soon as I change the function name, I'm getting 1 here. Okay, because the -4, the index of -4 is 1, 0, 1, right? Because our array is 0 based, right? Now let's try another number. Let's try 0, 0. So index of 0 is 4 right now. Okay, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it is giving us the index of that particular number, right? So let's try a number which is not there in the array. Let's clear it a little bit. Okay, and I hope you guys can see it. It is zoomed enough. Yeah, it's zoomed enough. Okay, so let's try to find a number which is not there. See, as soon as I remove the number, I'm getting -1 here. Okay, so let's pass 1, 2, 3. See, 1, 2, 3 is also not there. So we are getting -1. Okay, so this way we have successfully implemented two different types of linear searching algorithms. One is returning Boolean value and one is returning like the index of the number in the array, right? So this way you can try to experiment with your own creativity. You try to find some questions on the internet and then you practice it a little bit. So as I've already mentioned in the beginning itself, this is the easiest one. Okay, so next we are going to understand what is binary search. Okay, that is going to be a quite interesting one. Okay, so yeah, this is it for this lecture. And by the way, I'll attach this definition and this snippet in the description as well, right? In case if you're interested to check the code. By the way, there is nothing to check in this one. You can take a screenshot as well. But still, I'll attach this as a snippet in the description. You can go into the description and then you can find it, right? So this is it for this lecture. See you in the next one.